Yes, sirree, folks, that is just one of the many physics, graphical, and audio-based glitches and bugs you will find in Ghost Recon Wildlands. Physics, baby! Hey, this is Jared, and thanks for tuning in to Gamerslice. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of my impressions on Ghost Recon Wildlands closed beta, which took place about a month ago, and the game has released just a few days ago. Now, it is worth pointing out that many of these impressions are unique to the PC version, and I was almost considering skipping out on this video altogether, considering how late it is, but, well, let's just say that considering so many of the overwhelmingly positive reviews that are out floating around on the internet, I figured it was worth doing after all, considering my opinion is actually quite different than those, and in many cases I feel those reviews are not accurately representative of the game, and perhaps in some cases even fraudulent. So I'm going to break this video down into 3 segments. It'll be performance/graphics, gameplay and game structure, and then Ubisoft business trends, which I'm going to talk about right now. Okay, take a deep breath. Damn it, Ubisoft! Knock it off with your pre-order bullshit! Okay, got that off my chest. And so as you can see from this screenshot, Ubisoft is already trying to get people to pre-order the game as soon as they launch the beta. They haven't even had a chance to play it, and it's already, look, big button right there, pre-order, pre-order. Yeah, they want you to do that. They really want you to do that. And this is a very anti-consumer and irritating trend that needs to stop. Aside from that, I don't know too much about what's planned for Seasons Pass or anything, so I can't really go into that. So now let's dive back into performance and graphics, which we started the video off with. Some of the other bugs that you'll see in the game, one of the first ones that I encountered is the god-awful, I don't know, like eye rape ghillie suit physics. I actually planned on using the X-Files theme for this little video clip, but when I slowed it down, which, I mean, maybe you don't have to slow it down to use the X-Files, but I've always seen it slowed down or just stopped and then in black and white. So, but when you slow it down, it doesn't really have the full effect. You actually don't notice the physics, freaking out as much. But yeah, it's pretty bad, painful to the eyes. Pretty quickly, I had to, turn this off because it was too distracting. And I really hope they had this fixed at this point.
Clear. How you guys holding up?
Yeah, that is pretty clear. Check out that water line there. That's terrible. It's like from 2010 or something. I'm not even sure what they did to get it looking like that. I mean, maybe it's like some of the post-processing isn't in there or something, but I guess they just blurred up the water and then darkened it till it was blurrier than the ground or something, because I mean, it just does not, it's not a natural water line. But I don't take issue with too many of these graphical downfalls because the world is very large, unnecessarily large in fact, but I'll get back to that in a bit. So most of the footage you're going to be seeing is on the medium setting preset, running on a GTX 970. The game defaulted it to high for me, but the frame rate impact was just too damn high. It's too damn high. I should put the mean in there. So I had to turn it down to medium settings, but I really shouldn't have had to. It's just that the PC port is really that bad. At least during the closed beta it is, but I don't imagine too much has changed. Maybe whatever was in the day 1 patch, perhaps, but other than that, it probably still has some performance issues. So yeah, from the PC standpoint at least, performance is the key issue with the game at this point. Mainly because of just the massive frame rate loss, which you can see is pretty evident from this video right here. I don't understand why there's such a huge frame rate loss here, but when you're looking at that rock face, it just frame rate almost cuts in half. It's pretty crazy. But even in medium settings, Wildlands does not really have a stable frame rate. It can reach that 60 FPS, but most of the time it's jumping around somewhere between the maybe high 50s and 20s or whatever. It's just pretty unstable. And for the most part, VSync doesn't really help much. Oh, now also take a brief look at this footage here. Medium settings. What the heck, Ubisoft? Why, you can't even render a license plate? Come on. That's not a lot of detail. You should be able to render a license plate in 2017. But hey, as I said, just a little too overambitious with the world size, and that's probably what's, making, having the biggest impacts on, performance, graphics, everything. Now I'm going to jump to some footage from the very start of the game with an opening cutscene, which isn't so great. I mean, the graphics are okay, but yeah, not too good. And I can't say much about the dialogue and stuff, but and the writing. This was pretty much the major taste I got from it. All I can really say though is that the character's main voice isn't very good. I don't know, it doesn't fit the character. Of course, you can choose what your character looks like, both in terms of appearance through apparel and also your actual facial appearance and whatnot. But it's, yeah, the voice didn't really fit the character, and the writing that I did get to experience, and the voice acting I did get to hear, wasn't too impressive. But from the very beginning of the game here, I got a taste for what the rest of the experience was pretty much going to be like, which was just an utter terrible shit mess. And also, as I said before, the game defaulted to high settings, and the frame rate impact is a little excessive here, a little more excessive than it should be. And in fact, this first part of the cutscene, I might even cut this out. I don't know. I haven't, decided on exactly what part of the footage I'm going to use yet, but there is a pretty significant increase in the frame rate about midway through the cutscene. All that being said, though, it's not just the high settings that are impacting the frame rate. I had also, been doing a lot of stuff that was taxing my hard drive quite a bit before. So most of the footage you're seeing is actually from the next day when I played it, and that significantly increased stuff. And then going to medium settings also helped out a lot too, but the frame rate is still very unstable, as you can see. And I think there's the first sample of a little audio bug in here, and then of course from the bat I had the ghillie suit on, so more terrible ghillie suit physics for you there. Now, by the way, the guy that you're gonna probably see in this cutscene that we're meeting up with, he's like the rebel leader, and you are tasked as the Ghost Squad with quite simply aiding the rebels and taking down the cartel in Bolivia. And your ultimate goal is to take out cartel leader El Sueño, who I will discuss in a little bit. But this rebel leader guy here, he's really the only interesting character I've seen in the game so far. This other lady who's kind of like your handler, of course, but it's not official, since it's like full deniability from the US government and everything. But she's not very interesting. So this rebel leader guy is pretty much the most interesting character in the game so far, which doesn't set too high of a bar. Except for these like two lovers who you end up actually get to take down in the beta. These two lovers who are like the underbosses, and basically they've bonded over chopping people up and torturing them. So kind of creepy though. More creepy than interesting. But they aren't the type of characters you're too used to seeing in games, so at least they gave a bit of effort there. Now to move on to gameplay and the mission structure, which is, I would describe it as a mix between The Division, Mafia 3, with just a pinch of Ghost Recon still in there. Quite honestly, there's not really much Ghost Recon left in the franchise, or I should just say in Wildlands, because I don't even really consider this part of the franchise, because it's such a deviation. Ubisoft has basically diluted it down into a lackluster experience that pretty much has no identity at this point. They're trying to make it into this repetitive open world game with like online components, and it's not that it doesn't work that great. I mean, it's an acquired taste, but it, in my opinion, and many other people would agree with me, it has no place with the Ghost Recon franchise. The only remnants I really see of Ghost Recon in Wildlands is some light tactical elements, such as the sync shot, which is, of course, only really useful when you're playing with the AI, which is incredibly stupid, too, because you can only sync shot with one of your other squad mates. It's like, you have 3 other squad mates with you, why can't I do up to 3 sync shots? I can't, unless I progress way further into the game and unlock a bunch of upgrades. But it makes no sense. I mean, I guess you have to suspend your disbelief to understand why that's locked out, but it's incredibly stupid. And the gunplay is also close enough to the most recent installment of the franchise before this, which was Ghost Recon Future Soldiers. Dark Souls and Ghost Recon mixed. That would be a very unusual mix. But yeah, which Future Soldiers is actually a pretty good game. And Ghost Recon 2 was also really good too. Furthermore, in Wildlands, you don't have any cool gadgets like you did in the other games, and I mean, this is just a random percentage, but it's probably pretty accurate. 90% of tactical gameplay is pretty much gone, replaced with like a lousy upgrade and XP tree that doesn't really add any tactical depth or serve as a worthy substitute. So instead of getting classical Ghost Recon, we get a very similar approach to the Division, not in terms of bullet sponge enemies. The enemies still go down quick, but the movement feels exactly the same as the Division, and there's also like incredibly annoying resource collection for stuff, which is even more invasive than it was in the Division. And these resources is used as part of a favor system where you collect the resources and then you can use that for favors from the rebels to come and help you on your missions. Basically just calling in reinforcements. And then we got other Ubisoft garbage, which is like scouting with a drone, which is in like every Ubisoft game now. I mean, except for kind of Assassin's Creed, but you know, Far Cry and Watch Dogs, all that scouting stuff. It's really boring after a while. And we got tons of other pointless collectibles and repetitive side tasks that most people are just going to gloss over. There's also this weird element, which I'm going to pull up a screenshot here, where apparently there's enemies that will surrender, and if you kill enough of them, it's like a game over and you have to restart the save. I'm not sure what that's all about, but that seems like a really stupid concept to me. Now, aside from all these criticisms, there is one pretty good thing about the design of the game, which is there's quite a bit of character and weapon customization, and it's expanded a little bit from the Division. It's not as kind of lame, and you know, where you get a beanie or whatever. You know, the gear actually looks cooler, but most of the gear is actually unlocked from the very beginning, and there are certain specific weapons and other gear that you can unlock through completing certain missions. Now, in terms of the mission and level design, it's even more akin to Mafia 3. And if you haven't played Mafia 3, it's basically the same as this. Here's this screenshot. This basically shows you what you're going to be doing the entire game. Taking out El Sueño's underbosses in each area of the cartel's operations in order to get at the man himself. And this is a very lazy and very repetitive mission structure. And ultimately, in Mafia 3 is the main thing that brought the game down. And I can tell you with absolute certainty it is the same thing here, because in the beta there was 6 missions. You had to complete 5 out of the 6 missions in, well, okay, 6th mission is the final mission where you take out the boss, which is those 2 levers that chop people up, as I mentioned. So you have to complete 4 out of the 5 that are available to you before that, and then you can go. So you can basically, in each buchon, as they call it, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, to take out each buchon, you have to complete all but 1 mission in that section. And I'm going to call out one review that I'm going to place in the description. They basically said that, oh, this is a fresh and very interesting concept, and you know, they just praised it, which is total bullshit. It's not really fresh. There's lots of other games. Mafia 3, the most recent example of doing this, and it's honestly like all these companies are smoking the same shit. They're smoking from the same crack pipe, and they're thinking they're being so creative when in reality it's just destroying their creativity. It's like being on drugs. So they all think this is great and all the players are going to love it, but hey, quite frankly, unless people stop buying the games, they're not going to change anything. I am quite impressed with the open world, however, at least in terms of its size. In the beta, they just give you this one region, 1 out of 21 provinces, and this is pretty huge. So I'm impressed with the scope of the open world, but I'm not impressed with the amount of activities and stuff to do in there. It's basically, you know, the saying, a mile wide and an inch deep, and it's perhaps more true with Ghost Recon Wildlands than any other game I've played. So quite frankly, this is just wasted potential for a Ghost Recon game, and overall Wildlands is just too ambitious. And as a result, doesn't really deliver on any of the hype. So finally, what about the online? Like, maybe the online can redeem some of this. Well, it definitely makes the experience better, let me tell you that. This is how you're going to have to play the game to get pretty much any significant enjoyment out of it. And it's going to need to be with friends. Playing with randoms is better than by yourself, but it's definitely not optimal. And from my experience at least, I got the impression that pretty much everyone else that I was playing with was as thrilled with the game as I was. Which is not very thrilled at all. It's kind of like, yeah, this is Ghost Recon. This is what it's turned into. Hey, are we ever gonna get another good Tom Clancy game? Who knows? Nobody really said that, of course, but that was what was going through my head, and I imagine what was going through a lot of the other players' heads that I was playing with. I do have to commend it a little bit, though, for being able to pull off the online experience a bit better than some other games, though. There was actually some fun moments in it during a couple of the missions we played. So that's my impressions of the closed beta of Ghost Recon Wildlands for you guys. And to sum it up again, I would just say gameplay and the structure of it are pretty much the Division and Mafia 3 with slight elements of Ghost Recon still in there. And my conclusion is that Ubisoft more or less has killed off the franchise with this one game. Maybe they can redeem themselves, but honestly the last good Tom Clancy game we might have gotten was Rainbow Six Siege. And if you want to go check out my review of The Division on the channel, you can do that. It's kind of a long review, in-depth, over 30 minutes. But compared to The Division, I would say, of course, this is not the full game, so I can't really make an accurate statement regarding this. But based on my time spent within the closed beta, I would say that The Division is better. I would prefer The Division over Ghost Recon Wildlands. Although there were a lot of things in Ghost Recon Wildlands that I liked a lot better than The Division. But overall, especially on PC, The Division is a better way to go. So, of course, at this point, we got other reviews out there, and you can go check them out, but I'm just warning you, some of them are overly positive, and I don't know, a lot of them I just don't understand even where they're coming from. I mean, maybe if you think this sounds good to you, then by all means, go and pick up the game, but at least from my perspective, this stuff that I've mentioned is just, it's not great. And you might also be asking, well, how long did you play it? Believe it or not, I played the game for less than 4 hours. So all this stuff happening in a short time span, yeah, definitely didn't leave a good impression on me. But the main issues was not the bugs. The bugs, a lot of them were actually pretty funny. So that's that. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, we hope to see you in the next video.
Let's go.